So the ATSS framework begins with a focus on classroom instruction, or what we refer to as Tier I, where our collaborative teams work together to look at data, to unpack standards, create common assessments, look at resources and materials that are differentiated to meet the needs of various learners in their classroom, looking at the whole child, looking at the well-being of our students, and pulling on practices that help our students make responsible decisions, to self-advocate and be self-directed, and to manage their emotions. And looking at both the needs of our students on the academic side as well as the social-emotional side. So instruction in Tier I is really about having flexible instructional models to meet the needs of all of our learners. It's where we deliver our core instruction in all areas, both the academics as well as social-emotional. It's where counselors come in and deliver lessons for the social-emotional side. It's where teachers build relationships with their students to create a positive learning community in their classroom. And it's where collaborative teams are looking at data and making informed instructional decisions about what their students need, what they already know, where to extend their learning and add depth and complexity, or where students may need some initial reteaching in the classroom before they make any additional decisions on additional supports they may need throughout the school day.
2 questions for T4.
Yep.
Got
2
it. One
questions.
here, one here. And then Tracy will come up with the formula.
Yep.
Data analysis is crucial. Obviously, you need to know how the students are doing in order to drive your instruction. So those daily quick checks that the teachers do, they take note of how the kids did, and the very next day they're responding to that data. The common formative assessment, we can see as a grade level what the kids know and what the kids don't know. And then we take an entire day, the following day, it's called a response day, and we respond to the needs of the students. So the kids who didn't get it, there's some very intentional, purposeful reteaching happening, and the kids who did get it, it's the time to expand and enrich their knowledge as well. So your instruction and your groups every day are so fluid. They're constantly changing to meet the needs of your kiddos based on the daily assessments that you're doing, based on the common assessments that the grade level is doing.
There were 7 inference questions total, so it's organized by total points and then percent correct.
So this is very data-driven and in the moment, but it's basically good teaching. You find kids who need a little more support and help, and you do that.
Campbell, what did you find?
I really liked the closing statement. I don't know, but I feel like an essay is kind of like the end of the essay kind of puts it all together and links it all up, and I really like how Jujubee did it in this case.
If you take a look at any of the SOLs, for any subject, but for English specifically, we have lots of standards that we're addressing in reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and research skills. But the power standards have identified areas that we know the students need to master.
Power standards really represent what is essential learning. So there's a lot of nice to know, and in fact the SOLs cover a lot of what is nice to know. But when you drill down to those key pieces of learning that allow students leverage to carry that into their high school learning and beyond, and it gives them a chance to really drill into what is fundamental in math and reading and social studies and science. So we're talking things like main idea, understanding what is a main idea in a piece you're reading is really fundamental life skills. Working with fractions and decimals, again, fundamental life skills that'll provide leverage throughout what they're learning in high school.
And we did that in a vertical planning from 6th to 7th to 8th grade.
Then based on student performance, our CLTs take a look at how did kids do and which kids would really benefit for more intensive focus on these power standards.
Elephant and waiting, like the book.
With the kids, we know we're so focused on academics, but gosh, is it important to get to know the kids on a personal level and for them to get to know you on a personal level as well.
2 eyeballs on them to see what great things they're doing.
What does it mean to be respectful? When we are respectful, what does that sound like? What does that look like?
Good morning, Charlotte. Good morning, Sophia.
Here at Campbell, we have a school-wide responsive classroom model. Every day we start the day with morning meeting in every classroom from pre-K through 5th grade, where students are welcomed into the classroom, they share, they practice social skills like eye contact, greeting each other, and sharing. And also the teacher can address any problems that have been coming up in the classroom. For example, I've noticed that we've had problems putting away the computers at the end of the day. How can we solve this problem? Is there someone who'd like to take on that responsibility? And kind of talk through any problems, kind of like a family meeting each day. Also in September, we spend a lot of time in responsive classroom building relationships with students and establishing classroom routines. Students write their own hopes and dreams, which are their goals, whether they're academic or social emotional for the year. Those goals keep them focused. This student, Ashley, her hope and dream is to be a better reader and to read a lot of books. For this student, Maya, her hope is to learn how to help animals. So this is more of a social-emotional goal. All students are working on something. It may be academic, it may be social-emotional. We try to have students select something that is an authentic goal for their school year. So behind me are the rights and responsibilities. The students basically create classroom rules in September collectively together, and they agree to those rules and they sign sort of as a class contract, and then they are redirected back to those rules throughout the year if anyone is not abiding by them, and they discuss them on a regular basis. Also here, students are identifying ways that they are respectful at school, so that we all understand exactly what respectful looks like in the classroom setting. Most students respond really well to responsive classroom. It is a Tier I school-wide, classroom-wide approach. There's some students that need a little bit more support, and so those students, for example, might have an individual behavior plan, they might need movement breaks, they might need something above and beyond what other students need. And then Tier III would be students who need additional services, research-based interventions, and additional professional support.
Not all of our students learn at the same pace or using the same strategies and approaches. So Arlington Tiered System of Support is a way of building in a flexible instructional time throughout the day to give students who need additional support or extension beyond their Tier I time to get that targeted instruction. And that's really where we move into Tier II and Tier III levels of support, where our teams are looking at data in a very targeted way to look at the needs of the student, put a plan into place, identify how we're going to monitor their progress, how often we're going to monitor their progress with a specific goal in mind. Often at Tier II, we're looking at students who need some additional support. 20 to 30 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week is a rough general practice. And then for some of our students who need very intense support, we often refer to them as getting a Tier III level support, where every single day they're getting intense support, often one-on-one. We're looking at progress every single week to make sure that what we're putting into place is helping that student make accelerated growth.